You are listening to the Antler and FeatherCo podcast. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Antler and FeatherCo podcast, the podcast for new and adult onset hunters. My name's Vince, and I'm a newer hunter who has much more confidence than I have knowledge and skill, and I'm just trying to bridge that gap and learn everything I can, and as I do, I want to pass it right along to you guys. So today, we're going to be discussing things like buck shaming, how you shouldn't use your tags, and we're going to tell you exactly how you should be hunting, because we know best, and we want to force our unsolicited opinions on you. You can take that last statement in two ways. Let me tell you what I mean. If you've spent any time on social media or around a group of seasoned hunters, chances are you've seen or heard that guy. He's the one that says things like, should have passed on that one, he would have been a good one next year, or we don't have any good bucks on public land because they always shoot the young ones. Do you know this guy? You know, the one that makes people post things like, this is my first deer, but it's just a doe, or I know he's small, but... Or a lot of times guys won't even post pictures or talk about their first deer simply because they know the shaming that's going to ensue as soon as the internet gets a hold of them. This is exactly the type of thing that kind of teased me off. It's one of the reasons I started this project and podcast and everything. I can't stand when someone is super excited they got their first deer and immediately every troll on the internet wants to tell them, well, I wouldn't have shot that. I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have done that. It's the very thing that I don't tolerate. I don't stand for it, and neither does our guest this week. If there was a hat for this episode, I think it would be a bright red hat that says "Make hunting fun again." And I know that's stupid, but I think it's something that really resonates with a lot of people who are getting into hunting right now. There's a lot of adult onset hunters. There's a lot of new people. And I think sometimes it can be intimidating coming in when you want to ask the stupid questions, you want to learn, you want to show off your first deer, and then immediately somebody cuts you down. And that's not acceptable. And so we're going to talk about it today. I'm sure this is going to be a great conversation. So let's get right into it. Let's welcome to the show Eric Clark from the Okayest Hunter. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. This is another early one. Both of us have already talked. You're going to get a different version of us because we're trying to get this one in, and I don't think either of us are quite awake yet. So this is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be the best one yet. All right, and we'll say a quick prayer, and then we will hop right into it. Lord Jesus, I thank you for what you did for me on the cross. Without you, I would not be free to do the things that we do. We would not have a relationship with you. We would not have a relationship with the Father. And I thank you that you selflessly came down and you paid the debt that we could never pay. You lived the life we could never live. And I just first and foremost want to glorify you through this show. I want to put you out front. I want you to be known, seen, heard, and hopefully you're able to reach people and bring them into your kingdom through this show. I ask that you'd be over this conversation with Eric, and I'm just thankful that he was willing to come on here and talk to me and hang out for a little while. We ask that you would just be with us during this conversation, and we ask all these things in your name. Amen. So you, if I understand, I was looking at your page, your season has already kicked off?
Yeah, in Wisconsin, it kicked off last weekend on the 17th. So that was last Saturday, a week ago. And I've been out, all of once since then. So I'm not, today's Saturday. My wife's like, "Oh, are you going to go hunting this weekend?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't, I don't have a lot of spots in mind in early season, kind of a pain in the butt." So
yeah,
I don't think I will be hunting this weekend at all, but I'm pretty squared away. I'm set to go hunting whenever I can go hunting. So
what's your guys' weather been like? I know ours is, well, I guess by the time you guys hear this, our season will have been opened. But right now, October 1st is in about a week, and yesterday and the day before, or 2 days ago, it was like 90 degrees, and then yesterday it all of a sudden dropped to I think at nighttime it was like 54, and so I'm like, I don't know what to expect October 1st. I'm really excited to get out there, but it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, with it being weird with the weather and early, I want to get out, and I will be out opening day, but yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to do that first week or two, because I it just doesn't seem in my previous seasons, it doesn't seem like you really see much. But I mean, I guess that's a good time to get all the kinks out of your system and things like that. But so what happened on your opening day hunt? I saw you guys were dragging a kayak or a canoe through some like head high grass and finding water, and you guys forgot a bunch of stuff. What what all happened with that?
Yeah, Derek scouted a new piece. Derek's on the podcast co-host, and I'm just along for the ride with him because he actually knows what he's doing. Like he kills big deer and understands things at a level that I'm working towards, but he's very good at it. It's like he's playing chess. And so he's like, yeah, we're gonna bring the canoe. So I go up to his house. We load the canoe in my truck. We go to this area. He's like, well, we got to drag the canoe through this little spot of woods, then this open field, and then we'll eventually get to the river. And then we'll, won't be hard from there. We'll be able to paddle, and then you can walk to your spot. Okay, so we did all that, and I was like, man, this is kind of a bitch. This is like, heck. And then I hadn't looked at a lot of maps or anything because he didn't send me much information. He kind of kept me in the dark. I think maybe intentionally. Not like I'm going to steal a spot or something, but just he's like, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. So I looked at the maps as I'm out there. I'm like, I could have walked to this spot from the road. I didn't need the canoe, but I think it benefited, both of us to, I love adventure. I love, those are the indelible memories to me, is doing that kind of goofy stuff. And then, yeah, I forgot my water. So it's hot. It was hot. It was like 75, 80 degrees or something, heading out there. And then after, dragging this thing and paddling up the river and getting your spot and setting up in the tree, I was like, man, I'm thirsty and I didn't have any water. I forgot my headlamp in the truck, which I'm like, I was so proud to remember all this stuff. And then I didn't put it in my bag. I had an extra one, luckily, but yeah, he forgot his headlamp. He grabbed one with a dead battery, and he also forgot his water. I lost my bow hook somewhere in the woods. Like what the heck, of course. But it was, like you said, it's a good hunt to kick the dust off. And I was surrounded by a couple of does. They never got in super close range. Like no shot opportunity actually developed, but they were there. They had no idea I was there, which was great. So I did a good job. And it was a county that I didn't. So in Wisconsin, when you buy your tags, you buy a tag for a county. Your buck tag is good anywhere in the state, or like within the southern, the zone or whatever it is. So countywide doesn't really matter, but then your doe tags are specific to that county. Well, I didn't have a doe tag for the county we're hunting, so I could have just went and bought one. No big deal, because you can do that stuff from your phone. But I was like, I don't know. And then I started getting pretty tempted. I was like, you know what? If one of those does do come over here, maybe I will shoot one. Maybe I should buy my tag. So yeah, whatever. Then my son ended up in the ER that night anyway. So I was like, okay, probably better that didn't happen. That would have been a real pain. So yeah, that was it. And it was fun. Like, I'm the kind of guy that Derek's like, wow, you're really Clark, you're a beast. You can really drag this thing. And it was like, you're a badass. I'm like, no, I'm not. You don't understand. Like, the paths that I choose and take are because I'm an idiot, not because I'm some hardcore person. And then I just deal with it. It's fine.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Especially last year, I have this vendetta with a certain piece of public because I've hunted it for 2 years now, and I've had so many close calls that just haven't quite worked out. And like my first season, it was like a weekend. I shot a buck and I put a terrible shot on it and I lost him, and it still haunts me to this day. But like, that piece I have to kayak in or canoe in every time. And like, you put the pictures out and people are like, man, you go all the way in on water, like, and they think you're this big like wizard, and it's exactly what you said. It's like, no, I'm terrible. Like, it looks cool to you, but if you were there, you would be looking at me like, what in the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
and
you're clunking. Derek's like, okay, now I got to be quiet, and I'm pretty good, like, with some of the stuff. To believe it or not, I have my moments, for sure. Obviously, given the name, but clunk, on the side of the metal, the aluminum canoe. I'm like, dude, didn't you tell me to be quiet?
Yeah.
And then I do it, and I'm like, oh gosh, so it's just, you think you're stealthy. You look one way. You think you're like a Navy SEAL out there, and you're just, Donald Duck,
right,
making all sorts of mistakes and going, freaking out.
Yeah, I wish I had a camera on me for some of the times, especially in the morning when I do canoe in somewhere, because you're real quiet. You're paddling and making sure your paddling's fine, and then it's like you get to your spot, and what's the first thing you got to do? You got to run that thing into the shore so you can get off. So it's just boom, and then all your gear shifts, and you're like, well, we're here. Hope you guys are awake and ready to go. But so do you tend to hunt locally, or do you have any plans to go out of state, or what's your kind of hunting situation?
Gosh, yeah, I don't have plans to go out of state. I think it's expensive. Just different
Mm-hmm.
state tags, understand things. And I'm, last year, on a whim, I went out with the Spartan Forge guys out in Pennsylvania. We stayed at Johnny Stewart's awesome cabin in
That's
the
sweet.
middle of I think it's called the Allegheny Forest. I'm probably saying that wrong. And yeah, I just did a day hunt there. And it was one of those where I'm so far out of my element. I'm with all these guys that are like proclaimed and proven, big buck killers.
Oh yeah.
And so Johnny's like, "You're gonna hunt here." I'm like, "Great, sounds good." And
Yeah.
it was a vast forest. It reminds me a lot of the Nicolet National Forest we have here in Wisconsin. So I'm no stranger to that stuff, but it's been a while since I've hunted that way. And back then I had no clue what I was like. Literally, I just sat in a tree and waited for deer to maybe show up. I had no context of anything. So at least nowadays I'm like, oh, I can understand and interpret things different. But no, that was the only out of state hunt I had done. I hunt like very local to where I live. I branch out, like the most I'll probably go is like an hour
Yeah.
from my house. And it's just because it's convenient. I have to play to convenience as much as possible. I got 3 kids, so it's chaotic around here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and one thing you mentioned that's helped me a lot last year, and then I'm really excited for this year is Spartan Forge. I had Bill on here. I think he was like episode number 4, and he was going through the whole app, and like I thought I had a pretty good grasp of how to use the app, and how, it was good and helpful. And then he went into it, and I'm like, dude, I feel like that thing is so advanced. Like even you explaining to me how to use it, I still don't know how to use it. Like there's so much stuff, and especially for like a newer guy like me, like once I can understand how to really put all these things into play, I think it's really going to help a lot. Um, and I'm really excited to use it this year because I feel like, we spend all summer long YouTube University, and like I feel like I'm master hunter now. So like we'll see what happens when we get out there. But so how long have you actually been hunting? Have you been doing it since you were a kid, or what's your background on that?
Yeah, my dad got me into hunting when I was like 16 or something like that. I wanted to hunt earlier at like 12, and my dad actually wasn't around for a little bit, and my mom was like, "No, you're not gonna shoot these weapons." I was like, "What the f?" So then I just watch whatever shows I could gain access to as a 12-year-old. I went in the woods and I pretended to hunt, like I climbed trees and I tracked deer and I did all the things. I just didn't have any weapon in my hand, and something about fall just it drew me to the woods. Like I felt that that's where I just needed to be inherently. It wasn't even like, it was very strange that that's what I was drawn to. And so 16, go gun hunt with my dad up north in the North Woods, and then I didn't get a bow until I think it was like 22 maybe. And back then all I cared about was drinking and chasing girls, so like,
Right.
thanks for the bow, Dad. Cool. It's like this
Yeah.
hand me down. So I was like, this doesn't even look cool. This is like an old bow. I want one of the new ones. It's just good. And I think somewhere in there, I started to really fall in love with bow hunting. I like the long season. I like the intimacy. I like the weather, the terrain. I always thought it was like, you go gun hunting here in Wisconsin. It's very traditional, and you're like a blaze orange blob. You reminds me of the
Hmm.
kid from A Christmas Story. He falls over, he can't get up,
Yeah.
and everything's just different. It's colder. It's a different time of season. And bow hunting was like, I feel like a ninja. I was like, this is great. I'm like nimble. I don't have 100 layers on. The weather is favorable by and large. I'm gonna get really close to one of these animals if I can figure it out. Now I'm like playing chess, and I'm like doing the strategy and taking in things much differently for a much more intimate setting. And so then it hooked me. And so I'm 36 now. And my first bow kill ever, when I started really kind of dial things in, was the year I had my daughter. So it was 2017. It's 2022 now. So that was like 5 years ago. I got my first doe fawn from the ground, and that's what launched the Okayest Hunter in my mind, at least. I think I bought the domain name like the next freaking day or two. I posted a picture of the doe fawn and was like, my dog's bigger than that. What's wrong with
Yeah.
you? I'm like, good for you. You have a nice sized dog, but I'm going to
Yeah.
eat the thing. And it was an easy drag. It was my first one with the bow. It was from the ground at 15 yards. It was like super exciting. So yeah. And then I got my first buck with a bow 2 years ago in 2020. I actually just wrote an article about it. It won't publish for a while, but I just wrote the story down the other day, and it was a virgin sit on a brand new public piece I'd never set foot on. And it was like the culmination of me applying. I've been podcasting since 2013. So I was like learning all this stuff over the years. And I read the wind, I read the terrain, I made assumptions about bedding. I, put in a tree that didn't silhouette me. I only went one stick high because that's all I could do, but it was the only tree I could set up close enough to the bedding area without busting myself, and blah, 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 all this stuff. The deer came out, read the script, and I freaking got him, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, holy shit, I did it, man. This is crazy. My shot sucked because I didn't do meh. I didn't say meh. I didn't stop him. So the arrow's further back, but I hit the femoral artery and got super lucky. And then he died in like a couple minutes, like right 5-10 yards from my deer stand. I jumped down.
That's perfect.
Guy, and I was like, freaking did it, man. So yeah, and since then I've been getting really close to larger deer. Like it should be happening for me, right? But this, I feel like it's the red zone. You can work your way down the field, not no problem, but you can cover ground. You can set up your plays a lot differently when you have some room to run and room for failure. And when you're in the red zone, that field shrinks, and suddenly everything. It's like you can whack a golf ball. And I'm not a golfer. You can whack a golf ball down the fairway. Everyone loves to go to the driving range and just whack balls, but then you get to the freaking putting green. It's a totally different game,
Yeah.
It's the levels of playing field, oddly enough, because you think it'd be easy, but it's not. So I'm in that area now. I'm in this refinement area of like honing in my skill set, the gear, understanding exactly where I need to be and how to access it, and like all this stuff. And I'm just, I'm getting better at hunting, but I need to get good at killing, and I'm not good at killing deer yet. So that's kind of where I'm at in my like hunter's journey. And I think there's like 4 stages to like a hunting journey, or what you want to call it. It's like you start hunting and everyone just wants to limit out, right? You just want to kill everything and get your practice. And then you get to like maybe the trophy stage is next, where you're after something bigger. Then it's all about the method. You see guys switching to crossbows and longbows, not crossbows. I mean like longbows, recurs and trad bows, because it's like, I'm so good at this. I understand the game. Now let's level up a little bit. It's like if you get really good at Call of Duty, you're like, well, now I'm just gonna do a pistol because I'm so good now, right? And then it's like after that you get to the sportsman stage. I think my uncle is there, where he'll bring a camera into the woods because he's like just wants to observe nature.
Yeah.
And not everything needs to die anymore unless it really, calls for it. So I'm probably somewhere between. I still want to limit out and trophy, and I'm certainly not the method stage. Like I'm happy with my compound and my 30-06 come gun season now. So that's kind of
that's a great way to look at it, the different stages. I'm like, I feel like my ADD is like I'm trying to be in all stages at one time right now. Like I want to kill a big deer, but I also know that for the last 2 years, at January 10th, I'm sitting in that last day, that last tree, and I'm like, man, I should not have passed on all those deer this year. Because being in Iowa, my first hunt out in Iowa, I had a handful of, and they were all spikes, but my first sit in the morning, the woods is waking up, it's getting, just light enough. I got like 3 spikes out there, and they're just fighting around with each other, having fun. They're in bow range, and I passed on them because I'm like, oh, I'm in Iowa, and all I've ever heard about Iowa is, we have just giant freak monsters. I'm like, I'm not shooting that. Well, now I really wish I would have, like, and then like, you talk about like getting into the trad bow or the, recurve bow. Like, I think that's a cool thing to shoot, like an old school bow, but it's like, bro, you need to pump the brakes. Like, let's get some experience. Like you're saying, like dial in your woodsmanship before you start trying to shoot something with a freaking traditional bow. And it's just, I think that's probably why my success rate's not so high, because I always want to try all this new, different, crazy stuff, and I never dial in one thing. But so getting into just the whole Okayest Hunter thing, how did that come about? Was there any instance that you experienced yourself where you kind of felt like you had somebody or whatever just kind of, I hate to keep saying the word shaming, but kind of shaming you for what you killed? Or is it just something you've seen on the landscape and you just kind of want to address it? Or
I'd seen it on the landscape, and I've had ideas for this for a very long time. I think back when I was running the podcast under the old name Where to Hunt, I had Dan Infalt on an episode, and he'd come over to my house, and I used to, when that would happen, we had a bar in the basement, so I'd just record him at the bar in the basement, and and I told him about it. I'm like, I want to do something about this. And at that point I was thinking like humble hunter, like humble pie, like there's something here. And then I found like there's this girl that goes by Humble Huntress. I was like, well, that's not that name's not gonna work. And then I got my doe when my daughter was born, and I like, I don't want to say fell victim to it, but I was like, what the hell, guys, you know? And I felt embarrassed to almost post it because I knew what it was, but I was proud. It was the first time I got a deer with my bow, and my dad happened to be with me. He was hunting the same property, so he came over to me when I got it, and he's like, you know, congrats, this is a big deal. And I felt like a 12-year-old. I was 30 freaking 1 years old or whatever it was, and I was like, I feel like a kid.
Yeah.
And we often say, like, you know, shoot what makes you feel like a kid on Christmas. And at that moment, that's what a frickin' was. So then I, you know, walk up on the thing, I'm like, oh shit, that is not that's a you know, like it didn't even strike me in the moment, really. And I was downhill of this thing on the ground, sitting up against a tree. So it felt like a badass hunt because it was just like, she might look a little bigger. But to that point, and then I felt like I succumbed to it. I felt the pressure of, I don't want to post this. I did post it. Then I got shit for it anyway. So then it like was the self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh, I don't want to post this because if I do, someone's going to shame me. I posted it, someone shamed me. I'm like, well, okay, well, here we are. Right.
Yeah.
And then I saw it happen to like kids frequently enough on different forums and groups. Like, you know, there's certain groups that different states maybe have where it's like a rut report or something like that. And most of this stuff, by the way, is not so prevalent. It's there's an undercurrent, but most of it's positive. And what I say is like the negative is what's loudest. You could have 100 positive comments and one bad one, and you're gonna remember the bad one because it's gonna be the thorn, the tiny little prick. And you get a sliver in your finger, and it's no percentage of your body or injury. Your finger's not lopped off, but it freaking hurts.
Yeah.
And you can't stop thinking about it. And you're like, man, my whole hand's injured now because I got this freaking, you know, little sliver in my finger. Like that's how it feels. So I thought, well, you know, I'm a big follower of Gary Vaynerchuk. I got to meet him in 2019 in New York, and that was pretty cool. And having met him and like taking that trip and spending the day out there with those folks, I was like, he preaches make positivity louder. That's his thing. And he does that. And it's not applied to any niche. It's just in general. Like, and he says, kindness is not a weakness. It is a strength. It's a superpower. And he wants to build a honey empire, and don't tear other people down. Just build the tallest building if you're going to do something. These are all things that I believe in, because I followed that guy for so damn long and read all his books. And I'm like, you know, we could use some of that stuff here in our corner of the world. Like, if I can't, like, we're never going to end buck shaming completely, but if that's our mission, that's what we strive to do, then we can make a dent in it and make an impact. And that's what we strive to do. So if you see shaming happening, we encourage people to use the tag no buck shame, hashtag no buck shame. And then we'll go in there and we'll just bury that comment with kindness. And we'll make positivity louder. And that's it. Like, I'm never gonna fight fire with some of these folks. They got their own, they're already damaged in some way if that's what they're doing. Like, if they're gonna be the jackass that's gonna make a negative comment on a kid's post or whoever, they have their own problems. So like going down to their level is not gonna do any good. You know, I've read a lot of books on human nature and Stoic philosophy. And, you know, if you come at someone like that, you're just gonna put their defenses up even more. You got to soften those defenses. And there's ways that you can do that and techniques that I'm actually actively learning how to do, because this is something this is the battleground that we're on. So for me, it's like, how do I become an exemplar of this stuff? So I can be an example for other people to follow suit with. And if we can all start doing that to some degree, I think we'll leave a much more positive impact on the space that we're playing in.
Yeah. And that's you know, I see it a lot of times with, like you said, it seems like it's pretty much mostly Facebook groups. I feel like between like the different social media options, Facebook is ruthless. And it's one thing for, you know, it's one thing for a guy to say something to another adult man, but I've seen that too, where they don't just shame the kid, and the kid, like, you can tell the kid is so damn excited and the dad's proud and it's just a great moment, and then they're almost like, I can't believe you'd let your kid shoot that. And it's like,
or there's like the 50-year-old that's got a deer next to him, and you'd assume he's been hunting his whole life, but that was his first killing something. It was his first deer because he's an adult onset hunter, and his kids are finally out of the house. He's an empty nester now. He can finally try this thing out that he's been trying to do, and he's got the time and wherewithal to do it now. And then you shoot on him. It's like there's so many. What we talk about is like there's so many different places that people can be, like geographically. The states are different. There's different regulations. There's different things that are allowed or not allowed. Some people might be hunting a doe control area or something, or an urban hunt. You don't even know the context of what's happening. You have
Right.
no clue what is going on there, not to mention where that person lives in that hunter's journey that we just talked about, and how long they've been hunting. I've said, like, oh, it could be their first hunt with their kid. It could be their last hunt with their grandpa. It could be, who knows what is going on there. It could be their first out of state hunt. So now their expectations and outcomes have changed. Like, if I'm going to do an out of state hunt, I'm going to shoot anything because this is a big deal for me,
Yeah.
or whatever. And Mark Kenyon, had us on his show, and we talked about, we came up with these 10 commandments of an Okayest Hunter. And it was interesting because he reached out and he's like, I've seen this, I've gone through it myself now, where he's like, I've just made this stuff no fun. And and then he just put an article out, I think yesterday, the day before, and I read it, and I was like, this is, sometimes you can, if you're too outcome based, and it sounds like Mark had been and has been and continues to be, he's a goal oriented guy. Clearly, the guy's built something pretty meaningful in the category. And if you're focused, it's like the destination or the journey. Like, sometimes you just got to enjoy the journey, and you still should maybe get to your destination. You shouldn't just like fall off a cliff and never get there, but you can enjoy the journey while working towards your destination. And sometimes that destination can change based on the journey. So yeah, I think for me, at least, it was, posting this photo, getting kind of some flack, and it was a little backhanded. Like, it wasn't so overt, but I could read between the lines. I'm like, yeah, I know you're not actually proud of me, you shit. And and yeah, so the idea was like, let's see what we can do here. And we use humor heavily to draw people in and make fun of ourselves, and failure is our teacher, and like celebrate failure. Those are the things you're gonna remember the most. Everyone, even if you're the best hunter in the world, you've had your Okayest Hunter moments. We've recorded some of those sessions with some of the guys that are good at hunting, and they got funny stories to share. They get lost in the woods, they get turned around, like, stuff happens to all of us. And it may piss you off in the moment, but it's always funny to think about later on. Those are usually the things that become stories, because we're so good at giving each other shit. So like, here, my dad forgot his gun in the woods, and then the next year I did the same effing thing, and I was like, oh my god. So now it's like, oh, the Clarks can't remember their freaking guns. What's wrong with you? And it's just silly. It's silly stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing I really appreciate about your project, is just one thing I enjoy doing, just my personality, and you do so well, is like lightly making fun of situations that people take so seriously. And whether it's around the buck shaming, or just like the use your tag how you want, or just general hunting related things, you guys do such a great job of just taking the things that I think we just get so wound around this thing hunting, and it's such a serious thing, and you just point out a couple different real obvious things that are just hilarious when you step back and look at them. And it's a good outlet to have that, and especially when you're a new guy getting into it, everything seems so serious, and people, there's a ton of work that goes into hunting, and especially when you do put a deer down, there's so much work that goes into it. And even if a lot of it was just luck and it fell your way, like, it's so hard to kill a deer, especially if you do it with a bow. And just the thought of like somebody sitting out there and just waiting to just tell you, I wouldn't have shot that. And like we talked about earlier, a lot of times those guys are not even, they're not in your state. They don't hunt the way you hunt. They're, they might be doing their style of hunting might be farm hunting, where they're planting food plots. And like, kind of like we talked about earlier, this isn't a dig on big buck hunters either. If that's where you're at in your life, that's great. I get super excited when I see huge deer getting taken down, but like,
I want a big deer, like I do. And honestly, like, I do have some goals around how I want to decorate my house. Like, I want symmetry. Okay. I want to balance this buck out that I got, and I want two on my fireplace, and I want some in my studio. Like, that's yeah. So yeah, I want that, but I also have to live in the reality of my life. Like, am I really going to get huge bucks when I have 3 children and a wife? Like, job number 1 is dad and husband.
right.
And then career. I have a freaking job and a career that I have to maintain and manage to like keep this household going.
Yeah.
And there's this other stuff. And then there's hunting. Like, hunting, it's like running through the veins of my life, but it's also not the most important thing that I do. And I love it. It's a passion thing and it gives me some purpose. But, you know, what I mean by I have to align with reality, it takes a lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of work to kill a big deer. Like it's no feat to just go and do that. Like I think the working class guys say you can't just trip into a 150. Yeah, you could once in 20 years, you'll probably get your opportunity because you'll get lucky. But if you're trying to go do that, it is difficult. It demands time and commitment and energy and resources and like fortitude and practice and all of these things that, look, I don't have all that right now. So I have to like be realistic about my expectations. I can't expect that that's what I'm going to get when I can only hunt like 4 times a season.
Yeah.
So when I see a nice 8 come by, I'm like, that's the one, I'm going to take it. It's totally cool. Or a fork, because my freezer is low and we do like venison. My daughter loves venison. It's like so exciting. So aligning expectations with reality, and we're never begging on anybody shooting a big deer. I don't care. That's what I want too, by the way. And if that's what makes you happy, like we say, and you say, and a lot of folks say, it's your tag, it's your hunt how you want. Like if I didn't buy that tag, I have no business telling you what you should do with it. When someone comes to my house and says, I want to put that couch there, I don't give a shit what you would do. I'm not you. You're not me. You're literally a different freaking person. Good for you. When you buy your own freaking house and your couch, you can put it where the hell you want.
Yeah.
And have fun with it. I'm not going to come in there and tell you where to put it. So I don't know why people think they need to tell others what to do. And I have pulled some lessons from Stoic philosophy here, but I tried to boil it down to, because I'm trying to really think about it. Like, why are people doing this? What is the driver? Like, what's really going on here? Which is why I'm studying human nature, because these rules apply to all sorts of things. And so I think I got it down to like entitlement, paranoia, and control. And what I mean by those things, like once you experience a certain level of success in killing a deer, there's a certain level of entitlement that comes with that. Like you feel like you are now entitled because you've done this before. And we as humans, we don't want to go backwards.
Right.
And I'm also that way. Like I have a truck and I don't want to not have a truck now. Like
I know exactly what you mean.
I have a house. I don't want to not have a house now. Like we have a hard time going backwards. I shot an 8-pointer. I don't want to get an 8-pointer now. I want to get a 10 and so forth. Right. So we have this like this idea in our heads, like we need to only move forward with things. Backwards is bad, but situations change and it's not always so black and white. And then once you get to that next point, paranoia can kind of set in. If you're looking at this through a lens of human nature, and now that you're tagging these mature whitetails, you're paranoid that someone else filling their freezer with tomorrow's buck today is ruining or limiting your opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So now you get this like, now I'm paranoid that like you can't shoot that buck because like it's not going to grow, and then that's not quality deer management. I talked to Doug Dern about healthy deer management, which is a different ideology that exists in the National Deer Alliance. It's something that they talk about quite a bit. It's not just QDMA, it's healthy deer management. And you have to take in consideration of like CWD and things of that nature and like what's going on geographically. And so then the next step beyond that is like, well, now you want to have control. So now you're going to be the one that say, you don't shoot that deer. I'm going to control the situation. And you can kind of see what's happening here. And I don't know that that's exactly true. Like I'm not actually a philosopher, right? Or what have you, but I'm just trying to think about it and give this some, like, people ask Eric, why do you think people do this? I don't freaking know. Cause they're people. Like we all have our insecurities, our egos, there's all things that come into play. And with hunting, there's tradition. And it's like, well, that's not the way that I did it. And that's not the way that, my granddad taught my dad and he taught me. So some of these things are like institutionalized through, family traditions over the course of generations.
Yeah.
And you challenge someone on that and they get viscerally defensive because that's not the way of life that they were taught.
Right.
So, we just have to kind of open up our minds a little bit here and be a little more expansive in our thought process.
Yeah. And especially you look at, that's a great point, because you look at someone like, I follow like Drury Outdoors, and, they've put out some pictures of like youth season kills, and like, I mean, anywhere you look, some of these kids, their first deer is bigger than any deer I will realistically ever kill. And yeah, if that's what you've been brought up in, if you've been, not knocking it, but if you're fortunate enough that you grow up in a family like that, it's big hunters, you've got your own land, maybe you've got the resources to do the food plot, sit in a big enclosed blind, like that whole setup, where you've had deer managed for years and years and years. If you're growing up in that, I can see, where your mentality would be like, why are you shooting a spike? But you also got to realize that's very different than being myself, 32 years old, starting to hunt at 32 on public land. That's really, I'm in Iowa, but our public land's not what you consider Iowa. Like you get southern Iowa and stuff like that. That's where, everyone goes to hunt. But up where I'm at, it's like opportunity doesn't come around a lot. And I'm brand new. And not to mention, once you do, like, we all worry about what you're shooting. But if you're waiting for that huge 180, like you're never going to learn what to do after the shot. There's so much to be learned.
Oh yeah, dude, we got like a shirt that says shoot deer. And Greg Tubbs on our team kind of came up with that. And he's like, and I think that's that other stage that we talked about, the beginning stage of just like, piling them on. And there was 2 examples last season I heard of kids, teenagers, like not shooting any deer because they weren't the caliber that they weren't the 180. And they had opportunities at like a good 8 or a nice 6 or some does. They just weren't shooting them. Were passing. They're telling their dad, "Nah, Dad, I don't want that one. It's not big enough."
Yeah.
What's happening then is you're not gaining any experience. You don't just walk into the gym and can bench 300 fucking pounds.
Right.
You got to put the reps in and do the work, and eventually you'll work your way up to it. And then when you get to that, you'll take it for what it's worth, which is a serious matter. You'll have some respect for the game. And I don't mean the game as in the queer, I mean like the whole freaking thing. And you'll be prepared for it. And you know how to handle it. You know how to breathe. You know how to do things right. Like if you just wait and you've only ever hunted and you've never shot anything, you have no experience. And not to mention, you have no memories that are like standing out to you. You're missing the point. You're missing out on all the good stuff. The time you poked a gut and it blew up in your face and now you're like, your buddy's puking and that's hilarious. Like that's a story you wouldn't have had if you didn't shoot that deer. You wouldn't have learned how to like avoid that situation if you hadn't done it 6 times.
Yeah.
Like shoot deer, have fun, like get your experience, get your reps in, and then work your way up to that big deer. And you're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. You're gonna have a full freezer, and a lot of memory.
I guess it comes back to goals too. Like myself, this year is going to be my 3rd year. And, going back to the stages and goals and stuff, like when you said like fill the freezer, like that's my number one goal, because like we were talking earlier, your family loves venison. My family loves venison. There is a feeling about cooking something that you shot. You drug it out of the woods. There's a story behind that meal. And yeah, if you just keep passing and you have this ego about it, like you're saying, there's so many memories that you're stealing from yourself. Some of the best stories and most fun times I've ever had with, I have one buddy that hunts that he kind of started around the same time as me. Some of the best stuff has been, he shot a doe and the whole story about dragging it out and all that stuff. And then both of us kind of learning at the same time, like how to field dress this thing. And like you said, he made a bad shot, so it's disgusting. And like, I'll never forget that. That was such a fun time. And like, you're so thankful for that animal. And, and it goes beyond all that too. I mean, I preach big on having confidence in the gear that you've got. And, to the shaming thing too, like there's a lot of people who I know myself, I didn't have confidence in my bow because I knew my bow wasn't a Mathews. It wasn't a Hoyt. And it's something that, you want to post things about what you're doing, but then you don't want to post because your gear's not a Mathews. You're not wearing Sitka. There's all this other stuff that goes into it. And I think it really comes down to like anything that we're using these days is light years ahead of what guys used 20 years ago. And I'm so big on have confidence in your gear. And the only way you're going to gain confidence in what you're using is to go out and use it. And,
and you're not going to appreciate the new bow because you don't like, it's like, driving some old shitty car. You're not going to appreciate the new car if you didn't ever have a shitty one. You're going to really love that one feature that you never could do before. Or like people build their first home as their first home. You don't even know how to live in a house yet. You don't even know what your needs are. You buy some shitty house and you'll realize like, oh yeah, I really don't like a mudroom off of the garage. How the
Yeah.
hell would you know that? You never did it before. Like, how would you know any of that stuff or appreciate it? And to that point, like, the gear thing, I wrote another article that's not out there yet. I've got a lot of articles in the can. One, it's like, the 5 things hunters buy that literally will never use. And
Yeah.
and that's like all this stuff that we get like sold because marketing is so great these days. And we're convinced that this is the silver bullet.
Yeah.
We got to have this to make our arsenal like well-rounded or whatever. And most of it you just never freaking use. But I have a cousin that he's not on social. He's a carpenter by trade. He's a hardworking guy, and I go hunting with him maybe once or twice a year, and he teaches me more than I'll learn from any freaking podcast or YouTuber, because this guy kills literal giant deer from the ground within 8 yards with his longbow, and it's insane. How he like reads sign and like will interpret things, and how he speed scouts and so forth. And I pull up behind him, and I'm in my Ford F-150. I got all my shit in the back, and he's in his like beater Honda, and he's older than me, and he's got a family. He's doing great. It's not like to say that one thing is better than the other. It just goes to show you doesn't give a fuck. And he's got his blue jeans on. He changes out of his shirt, puts some camo scrubby looking shirt on, grabs his longbow, and that is literally it, and a grunt tube. And he's got a knife in his pocket. Those are the 3 things: his bow, his knife, and his grunt tube.
Yeah.
No backpack, rubber boots on him, and jeans and a shirt, and that was it. And this guy kills freaking deer every year in his beater Honda. And if he gets one, he straps it to the roof. Like, no shit's given. And he's not doing it. He's not posting it anywhere to be like, look at my giant deer. This guy follows the rules to the letter. He hunts with the likes of the whitetail adrenaline guys, and he'll hunt alongside those guys. He'll be with them at a campsite, and no one ever knows who he is, because he's taking it to that approach. And it to me, it just really does seem to go back to ego. Like, the form of ego that I think we're talking about. It's like, when we relate it to deer hunting, it's the one that demands that we ought to get our way. The desire to be better than others, to be more than, or recognized for, or past any like practical reasons. That's the ego that I think is threatening the hunting community. Like, we're doing this for reasons other than intrinsic value.
Yeah.
And my cousin, I think, is just a great exemplar, because you'll never know him. He's not doing it for those reasons. He's literally doing it because he loves the game. He loves playing chess. He loves to like win against himself and these big deer. And that's it. And for me, I have ego, even though I preach don't. I know that I do. Like, I am excited for the day I get to post a big deer. Like, I want some of that recognition selfishly, and I'm totally aware of it. And that is normal. That is okay. Like, ego is something that you have to work at to control on a regular basis. You can't sweep the floor in your house once and be like, we're good. We swept the floor.
Right.
You got to do it again tomorrow and the next day. Maybe you got to do it 2 times the next day because your kids spilled Cheerios everywhere and the dogs left crumbs after eating all their food. Like, you have to work at it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think, as long as you're doing things for other people, you're going to find yourself in a situation that you might not be happy. And that's probably life more than hunting. But especially hunting. If you're hunting because you want that footage, or you want that post, or you want to prove to that guy down the road, or you want to have the better, meat pull up north, or whatever you got going on, those reasons are short-sighted and will burn you out.
Yeah. Your cousin is winning, like the ultimate version of winning, I feel like. And it sounds like he's got like everything lined up correctly. And it's like, I almost like, you get jealous of that though, because it's like, that dude just is doing it for the love of hunting. He loves it,
Yep.
And it kind of made me think of, Dan Infalt. You brought Dan up earlier, and I had him on a few episodes ago. And like, granted, he's on YouTube and he's doing all this stuff, but he was doing all this stuff before YouTube. And just another guy. He grew up hunting. He's just a stone cold killer. But yeah, he's out there in a flannel and jeans, and he knows what he's doing. And to me, that's inspiring from like a newer guy, because the marketing of everything in hunting, you've got to have the best of everything, or you're not killing anything. And so as a newer guy, and a new guy with a family and a hunting budget and things like that, I'm not buying a $2,000 Sitka suit. So then it starts making you question, am I is because my camo was Cabela's brand and only $50 for a pair of pants. Am I now sticking out like a sore thumb to these deer? And then you see guys like Dan or your cousin who they just know the game and they've got their priorities in line and they can go out in jeans and whatever. They don't need all the crazy
the thing that
stuff.
Dan has is time. You know, he's got time on his side too. He's got all the time in the world to put into the deer woods. And he I think he said on our show years ago. So I'm not like putting him on blast by any means. This is his, you know, his words. Not you know, I'm not verbatim, but like he had expressed some regret, like around being so committed that he lost time with his family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, that sunk in. And I listened to that. And the thing I got most from Dan Infeld ever against any hunting tactics was don't do what I did in that sense. And I'm like, if this freaking great whitetail hunter is telling me, don't squander your family because, you know, he lost out on football games and moments and that, I'm like, well, all right, enough said. That's the best advice I ever got from Dan Infeld. Tactic wise, the guy's, you know, great. He's you know, got so much stuff out there and people kind of make it their own and so forth. And you know, look at ox bows, you use water separator and you buck bedding and all that stuff. The guy's, you know, he's the GOAT when it comes to some of that stuff. And he's right down the road from us. I mean, in fact, he like lived in the same town my cousin did. They like lived in the same area. It's interesting. But having time is one thing that people take for granted. That's where I talked about my expectations versus reality. I don't have the time to put into it to make that stuff happen. And maybe I could, but I'm not willing to sacrifice some of those other things for deer hunting right now. And I think at some point I'll have the time. And so talk to me in 20 years, dude. When I'm still doing this shit as a what am I? I'll be like 60 or something, and watch me just put giants on the wall. You know, and you don't need all that stuff. You just don't. And some of that stuff a lot of it's nice to have. It is nice to have. I mean, Sitka makes a great system. It'll keep you comfortable and warm. You can sit longer probably with ease. If you're wearing cotton out that you got from Walmart, you know, that's fine, but you're gonna get cold and you're not gonna hunt as long. There's certain things that you can do. You don't have to get the Sitka or First Light brand. You can go to some other like outdoor stores that are aimed at like mountain climbers and get their gear, and maybe you can get it for cheaper. You know, merino wool is probably the best investment I've ever made in any hunting stuff that I've had since I've been doing this. And I just started doing that like 2 years ago, and I can't believe I never had it before. And that stuff's not cheap, but it is far better to have that than anything else, because now all my other stuff can suck and it doesn't matter. I can get cheap, stupid camo because I have a great underlayer and I can stay comfortable and warm and dry and all that jazz. So, you know, but that's not something I ever knew. I was like, well, merino wool, like, what are you, some sort of expert? What is that? And then I like did it, and I was like, wow, this really is. And then my dad's he's in his 60s and he just got merino wool last year. I bought him some. And he's like, yeah, wow, I didn't realize this could make that big of a difference, Eric. I thank you. It didn't even like occur.
Yeah.
That's stuff like that. That's really cool.
So what is your, just because we're talking about, you know, buck shaming and using your tech, what is your biggest deer to date?
I got on public with my bow buck is my biggest buck. I've gotten bucks with my gun, but I think the biggest buck I got with my gun was a 6-pointer or a 7-pointer actually. And I had an opportunity of probably a nice 10, and I didn't have a tag. I shot a spike the day before.
Yeah.
And I tell my dad, I was like, if I see one, you know, can I tag? He's like, yeah. And then I tell him I got this one coming, and he's like, well, I'm gonna shoot it. If it's coming my way. I'm like, because he's gonna let me use his tag or whatever. And I didn't. I played by the rules and I didn't shoot it. And then he shot at it and missed. And then none of us got it. I was like, yeah, damn it, you know. So no, I missed opportunity at a 140 last season. I could have got him within like 8 yards from the ground, and I just wasn't paying. I was ahead on a swivel. I was hunting the rut, and I came in the morning, which I don't normally do. I don't normally hunt mornings, but it was the rut, so I'm hunting all day. And so I would like, you know, strategize my entry points, and I thought for the morning I'm going to make it this far, hunker down somewhere. I have a good idea what that's going to look like based on where this buck's coming out of bedding, and then come afternoon, if I don't see him, I'll get closer and set up in a tree with my saddle. And so I set up on the ground and hoping he'd come from one side of this ridge based on what I've seen him do before. And he came on the other side of the ridge, which effed me because now I was silhouetted, and my wind wasn't in my favor. So 2 strikes against me. Not to mention I wasn't fully prepared for it because Greg was texting me about some poaching incident that I was reading about on my phone. Like moments beforehand, I happened to look up. I'm like, holy shit, that's the buck. That's the buck. Oh God, that's the one. Like I literally dropped my phone out of my hand instantly, started to go pick up my bow, and like it didn't work out. I was right there. There was no way I could like get it done. And by the time I could even begin to draw back, that he was gone. He was gone. And I never saw him again the rest of the season. No trail cam pics, no cell cam pics, nothing. Just done. And that about broke my heart. Like I was like, never again. And my phone goes on do not disturb from here on out if I'm going to be doing this shit. Because I like the 1 second I grab my phone is the second that shit happened. I was off my phone the whole fucking morning and I couldn't believe it. I was so pissed. Oh man. So no, that would have been, that's what I'm talking about. I got to get a killing.
Yeah. I feel like if you could figure out a way to strategically like trick the deer, because it is 100% every time you just look down to check or you just get kind of lost daydreaming, that's when they show up. So if you could figure out how to strategically do that, get your phone out, pull up Instagram, but still be at the ready, I think that's a good tactic. It might work.
They must know. Yeah, it's like when you go to the restaurant and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You come back and your food's there. It's like, no, every time.
Right. So to kind of close it out, talk a little more about like just Okayest Hunter. I've been on your guys' website a number of times, and I mean you've built that thing, and it's just awesome. You guys, your merch is like, I've not seen too many places where I'm like, damn, every single thing is awesome. Like, how has that grown? Like, was it just like an organic thing that over the years it's gotten better and better? Or like, I don't know. It seems like you've achieved a really high level in what you're doing. And it's for anybody too. And it's got a great message. You've got great branding. It's just a really cool project that I really enjoy following along with. Like, how does that operation go day to day for you these days?
Oh, it's a lot. Yeah.
You're pumping out content like crazy too.
Yeah. When it started, it was, I had the idea, I bought the domain name. I'm like a domain name hoarder. I've got so many domain names I'm sitting on. It's ridiculous. But I'll tell you that, when we launched it, I sat down with coffee with a guy named Tyler, who was a listener of the podcast a number of years ago. And I was like, yeah, let's get some coffee, go get coffee. Like, that's a pretty smart dude. And he really understood Instagram at a level that I didn't. This is still when Instagram was like a not newer-ish thing, but it was like we sat down for coffee in 2019 at some point. Yeah. And then I got coffee with him again and was like, because we're in the same community. And I was like, I got this idea for this Okayest Hunter thing. I pitched it to a couple other guys. They're like, nah, we're good on that one. We're doing a different thing. Okay, sounds fine. Because what I had realized coming out of 2018 is like, I can't do things by myself anymore. Like that isn't doable. I need help. I need someone to run something with me. I need to divide and conquer. And previous to that, I would have been like, I'll handle everything. I got it. I'm king of the world. And I was like, burnout. I hit burnout for the entire life. And I was like, well, okay, never again. Teamwork makes a dream work, quite literally. So I pitched it to Tyler. He's like, yeah, I love the mission. I love what you're talking about. That's me. I'm that guy too. And so I spun up I'm a graphic designer, kinda. I'm a hack. I went to school for graphic design and web media. So I know my way around Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects. I use at work too. The whole suite. Yeah, and Audition, all that shit. So I because I'm more of a generalist, which was the degree. So I spun up this logo that had the OK hand symbol. And so there's you're not going to find the old relics out there. Really. And we did that. And then, and I later learned, like shortly thereafter, like that was like now the universal symbol of hate. I'm like, what?
Right.
Fucking on to that. You gotta be kidding me. Like,
yeah.
Why did that happen to us?
Such a good hand signal too. We lost that one to the dark side.
So super strange. And then I've this antler here. You can see it on the camera. I don't know if you ever...
Is that the one?
Yeah. So I mean, like ish. It like was sitting there, and I was like, I traced it.
Yeah.
With I took a picture of it, traced it in the computer, and that I spun up the logo instantly, and I was like, this looks good, and I posted it, and I was like, this is fucking dope. And then we launched we didn't even have a website yet. We just had an Instagram. We were just posting memes, like GIFs and funny stuff like that. Relatability is our through line. Relatability is the core foundation. And then we use sarcasm and self-deprecation and humility and humbleness. Like those are some of our core traits. And so then I put this thing out on like a website called Bonfire, which, you know, if you get this many sales, the order goes live, people get the product. Well, we crushed it. Like we did a bonfire, it went big, and we're like, holy shit. Okay. Now let's do a real site now that we've validated that this can work and people like it. So we spun up a Shopify site. It was $300 for the year. We each coughed up 150, and then we paid ourselves back when the business generated enough there. So for free, we basically started this thing. And it's just grown from there. So I do all of our designs. There's a handful that I don't. I have a designer a couple that I like, that I know from being in that world in the marketing space. That if it goes above and beyond my skill set, or they're too expensive, I'll use them, or I'll do it myself or whatever. Most of it's myself. And then, it's like you get these ideas, and this is my playground. This is my playground. Like, this poster behind me, that was a different designer, because I had a vision for it. Like, I want this to look like a 1970s freaking hunting magazine.
Yeah.
And that's the podcast cover art, because I'm sick of all of the over dramatized shit.
Right.
This is like, it looks old school. It looks like the 70s. There's an arrow on the ground, like you missed the buck. It's not even a big buck. And like that's, we're just always trying to do different, not better. And I think we've kind of been doing that, where we've been called the counterculture brand. And not to go against it, but it's just like, if I have to watch another over dramatized cinematic feature film of like, look, it's deer hunting, guys, this shit is fun. Okay.
Right.
Like it does have that drama to it, but like that's all everyone is doing, because that's what the leaders did, because they had the money. I'll do it. Like Sitka can put out good films because they're Sitka. Same thing with First Light and Rinella. And I think Rinella's done a great job of navigating it slightly differently, but so then everyone just tries to match what the leader does, and no one stops to think for a second, like, let's do something different. And some people, this is going to piss some people off, and I don't care. It's fine.
Let's do it.
The number of people that like spin up a brand in this category and call it something outdoors drives me batty. I'm like, because I do logo design, and some people will come to me and they'll have outdoors name. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing it, dude. I won't do it. You got to change your name. I will help you change your name, but we're not fucking doing it with the outdoors. Like, you got to stop this shit. It's just everywhere is something outdoors. Like chasing bucks outdoors, like whatever it is. It's like, you're not going to be a real brand if you have outdoors in the name. Like Cabela's, Bass Pro, Sitka, First Light. Think of these hunting beast. You think of these things, and they don't have the word outdoors in it, in their brand. Their brand. Okayest Hunter was that too. I was like, we're not going to fucking put outdoors.
Okayest Hunter outdoor.
You're like, what? Stop doing that. So there it is what it is. So yeah, and then the designs get put out, and we try to do different, not better. And we have what's funny about our shit is like, it's actually high quality. Like, we don't skimp on our quality of hats, our quality of shirts, our quality of design, our quality of our podcast output, and our audio, and even the pictures we take. I just have like a simple Sony A6000 DSLR. It's a mirrorless. It's not actually a DSLR. It's a mirrorless. But that's it. I use one camera to take product photos, and I mean, there really isn't much more to it other than like we listen. We do what's called like social listening, which I got from Gary Vee. We pay attention to the market. So if something feels like it was, wow, this was like for me, like, it's because we listen closely a lot. And when we put out content at scale, there's a lot of listening that can happen. And so a lot of these ideas are informed by the market. I'm not some genius. I just hear what other people say. I'm like, we can use this. It's not like I'm stealing ideas. It's like a collective thought glob that comes together, and we're like, oh, there's something here. We should do this. It's not like we're like geniuses. So no, and then Tyler and I pump out content. We do the GIFs, or whatever you want to call them, movie GIFs. We're starting a YouTube show. We'll see how that goes. We're in the midst of it right now, so it probably won't air till next year. And then that's going to be like the office of hunting, because I refuse to do another over dramatized hunting. I don't even know if I'm going to whisper on the damn show. Like, if there's any whispering, I might punch myself in the face. I just, like, is there really a deer that close that I have to fucking whisper?
Right. Well, I love it.
Like, I care about so much. That guy kills a deer and he like screams at the top of his lungs. I've never seen someone do that on a TV show before. Like, it's awesome.
Well, especially it's great because they're rifle hunting from 400 yards away.
The deer doesn't hear you.
But I think, what you guys are doing, you are absolutely nailing it. It's very, very appealing to, I'm sure it's very appealing to everybody. And I'm kind of in that mid range of like, I'm not a brand new hunter anymore, but I'm definitely not experienced. And so I still consider myself a newer hunter, and it's just refreshing to see what you guys are doing. Um, it it makes the idea of hunting fun. It takes, like you said, it takes the seriousness out of it, and it kind of brings back the idea of like, no, this really is for everybody to do. This is something you can love and enjoy, and you don't have to be in a box blind on a farm that you've been growing deer for years and years and years. Like, there's so much more to the game than that. And like I said, with what you guys are doing, your merch is fantastic, your content's fantastic, and yeah, I'm super thankful that you would come on here and spend some time with me. So I'm sure most of my listeners follow you already, but if they don't, where can they find you on social media? What's your website, and how can they get following along for you?
Yeah, thanks for the plug. If you made it this far, it's just okaysthunter.com, and that's it. Like, go there, and then you'll get tangled into everything. We got a weekly email blast that goes out. Subscribe to that. You'll get content in the email that you're not going to see anywhere else from us. So it's like an exclusive thing. We have okayest moments or stories that people submit on our website, and that's where those live, is in our email blast. So you're not going to hear those or see those anywhere else. And they're like spit your coffee out funny. Usually they're pretty good. Because the real stories from other hunters, it's pretty great to have that. You Wednesday morning, you open up your email and you're like, okay, who goofed something up this week?
Yep.
There's that, and then TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook group. We have a shooter buck club group. We have our Okayest crew. If you wanted to apply to that, you have to apply. You have to tell us why you think that you resonate with us, and you have to follow us. Like, you can't just, because we give away nice discounts to our brand stuff and also other brands that we are friendly with. So every month we'll run a discount code for either our stuff or someone else's stuff as being a part of that crew membership. And it's pretty great. That's a growing community, but we're slow to respond to that stuff because it's a lot to do. We manage a whole separate email marketing channel for that, and a Facebook group for that. So yeah, and I'd say, what else? Gosh, we're on Giphy. Like, we have a whole library
everywhere.
of GIFs. So like, if you want to text your buddy some Okayest Hunter moment, you can find us there and just send us a little GIF through text message or Slack or what Teams, where we are doing for work. You can find our Okayest Hunter stuff there too. I'm excited to make more of those after this hunting season. And then podcast too. So check out the podcast. We do a weekly podcast every Tuesday night. September's kind of wonky because I have 3 birthdays for kids, but we do a live listener call in. So we have a public phone number during the hour that we're live. You can call into the show and share a story, ask a question, jump in and shoot the shit with us. We're pretty liberal about letting people in. We don't really, I have a call screener, but it's
Right.
as long as you're not spamming us and you're a legit hunter, we'll talk to you.
Right. That's awesome. That's one thing I really liked about your show too, is like, I know all the work that goes into like just doing a normal podcast. I'm like, I don't know how, like, a live show, like, that must come with experience, because I don't know that I could handle a full live show with callers and everything. And you, it's cool because it's different,
Except if you listen to it, it's route with issues. Like, every week you have some problem, but it's into my experience, it's easier because I don't have to do post production anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I've built it in a way that I can run it live, and then I just hit like download, and then I'm done. It's it. So it's great.
Good deal, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out today and just talk about, one of the eyesores of hunting, but kind of, I think we got a good way to combat it. I think people, like I said, awareness of it, and just kind of, if you got a dude on there that's stepping out of line, we all just need to come together, kill him with kindness, prop each other up, help each other enjoy hunting, help us be proud, be proud of whatever you get to put on the ground, because it's such a hard thing to do. And just remember, guys, 99.9% of the other hunters out there have your back. There might be that one little guy that's got his own issues that, he's kind of projecting onto you, but the rest of us are happy for you. Post what you kill, be proud of what you kill, make those memories, have fun. And yeah, man, I appreciate your time, and we will catch up with you later.
Likewise. Thanks, guys.
All right. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in this week. That was a fun show. I had a blast talking to Eric. Make sure you guys are following us over on Instagram. That's at Antler&FeatherCo. Also over on YouTube, that's Antler&FeatherCo. All one word with the and sign. Don't put any spaces. I don't know what you're going to find at that point. If you enjoyed the show, hey, make sure you're following and you're subscribed to the Antler&FeatherCo podcast wherever it is you listen to podcasts. And if you would, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review on the show. When you guys do that, it allows me to get the show in front of more people and continue to bring on awesome guests, which then in turn provides you with more good information to make yourself the most stealthy ninja deer killer you can be. So thanks again for listening, guys. I appreciate every single one of you in the Antler&FeatherCo family, and we will catch up with you next week. This is the Antler&FeatherCo podcast. You are listening to the Antler&FeatherCo podcast.